हेलो गाइज, वेलकम टू सिविल स्फीयर। तो जैसा कि हम सबको पता है कि हमने जो एनिसेंट हिस्ट्री की सीरीज स्टार्ट कर रखी है, जिसमें हम वन लाइनर क्वेश्चन करते हैं। तो इसमें ये हमारी क्लास है, 9th या 10th क्लास है। तो क्वेश्चन देखते हैं फर्स्ट। तो व्हाट इज़ द टाइम पीरियड ऑफ लेटर वैदिक? तो पिछला भी यही है, 1000 से 500 BC। पहले भी क्वेश्चन कर चुके हैं। ओल्डेस्ट वैदिक टेक्स्ट ऋग्वेद। विच वेदा इज नोन एज वेदा ऑफ मेलोडीज? मेलोडीज होते हैं धुन, ट्यून, तो सामवेद। विच वेदा कंटेन सेक्रिफिशियल रिचुअल? जो सेक्रिफिशियल रिचुअल्स हैं, जो हवन से रिलेटेड होती हैं, तो वो कौन सा है? यजुर्वेद। आपने याद रखना, यजुर्वेद। जो मेलोडीज है, धुन धान से स्टार्ट, तो सामवेद। सेक्रिफिस थे यजुर्वेद। और सबसे ओल्डेस्ट ऋग्वेद। और जो चार्म, स्पेल, हीलिंग, हाइमन्स होते हैं, जो मतलब जैसे जैसे वो कहते हैं दूसरे मतलब वर्ल्ड में जाने के लिए जैसे यूज़ करते हैं, जैसे मरने को उपरांत ये चीज़ें हैं या फिर कुछ और चीज़ करते हैं, जो हेलिंग मतलब ऐसी चीज़ होती है। तो उसमें कहाँ कुछ में आते हैं, तो वो अर्थ वेद में आता है। जैसे मंत्र, तंत्र मंत्र विद्या वाली विद्या होते हैं, तंत्र मंत्र वाला बोल सकते हैं मुझे। विच टेक्स्ट एक्सप्लेन द रिचुअल ऑफ वेदा? कौन सा टेक्स्ट बताता है, एक्सप्लेन करता है? ब्राह्मणास। वट आर द कलेक्शन ऑफ वैदिक हाइमन्स? संहिता। Which Veda was sung instead of recited? Samveda. Which Ved reflects social and political life of the later Vedic age? Yajurved. यजुर्वेद एक कहीं, अच्छा ठीक है, कुछ क्वेश्चन शायद रिपीट हुए हैं। विच वेदा इंक्लूड बिलीफ ऑन नॉन आर्यन कंडीशन? अथर्ववेद। नॉन आर्यन ट्रेडिशन। ड्यूरिंग द later Vedic period, sediment shift to the which region? Upper Gangetic Plain. Which archaeological culture is associated with later Vedic period? Painted Gravier. Painted Gravier. How many painted Gravier sites have been discovered? Nearly 700. जो पेंटेड ग्रेवियर पीपल यूज्ड अटेंसिल्स, जो बर्तन मेड ऑफ विच? तो पेंटेड ग्रेवियर। विच मेटल बिकम वाइडली यूज्ड इन लेटर वैदिक? तो आयरन। ठीक है। आयरन बिकम कॉमन लेटर वैदिक पीरियड। विच प्रेजेंट डे स्टेट मेजर? तो पंजाब, हरियाणा, राजस्थान। शायद ये रिपीट हो गए पिछले क्वेश्चन से। जो लेटर वैदिक पीरियड है, मार्क द ट्रांजिशन फ्रॉम व्हाट टू ट्राइबल सोसाइटी टू स्टेट फॉर्मेशन। विच चैप्टर डिस्कस द ट्रांजिशन टू स्टेट एंड सोशल ऑर्डर? लेटर वैदिक फेज। ट्रांजिशन टू स्टेट सोशल ऑर्डर। विच टू ट्राइब कंबाइन टू फॉर्म कुरुज? तो भारताज एंड पुरुष। ठीक है। कुरुज किसने बनाई थी? भारत एंड पुरुष। टू रिवर डिड कुरु इनिशियली सेटल? सरस्वती एंड दृष्टावती। विच रीजन कम टू बी नोन एंड कुरुक्षेत्र? लैंड ऑक्युपाइज बाय कुरु। दिल्ली एंड अपर गंगेटिक दोबाब। ठीक है। दिल्ली एंड अपर गंगे तो कुरुज। विच ट्राइब्स लेटर मर्ज विद कुरुज? तो पांचाल। What was the capital of Kuru Panchal kingdom? Hastinapur. Hastinapur is located in which present day district? Meerut. The Battle of Bharata is the main theme of which epic? महाभारत। भरत जो है वो किससे? महाभारत से। Around which year the Mahabharata were war? 9050 BC होने पीछे वीड है। Who fought Mahabharata? पांडव and Kauravas. Both Kaurav and Pandava belong to which clan? तो कुरु clan से। हस्तिनापुर एक्सकेवेशन बिलोंग टू विच पीरियड? 900 to 500 BC। ठीक है। हस्तिनापुर में जो एक्सकेवेशन खुदाई हुई थी। व्हाट डिड द एक्सकेवेशन एट हस्तिनापुर रिवील? सेटलमेंट एंड द बिगिनिंग ऑफ टाउन लाइफ। ठीक है। व्हाई डज हस्तिनापुर नॉट में द महाभारत डिस्क्रिप्शन? बिकॉज महाभारत वाज कंपाइल्ड मच लेटर, क्योंकि महाभारत 4th सेंचुरी एडी में बनी थी, और ये हुई थी कब? हमने अभी पढ़ा 9050 BC। Which type of bricks were rarely used in later Vedic age? Burnt bricks. Which material was mainly used for house? Mud structure. Why did the Kuru clan leave Hastinapur? due to flood. Where did the Kurus clan migrate after flood? To Kosambi, near Prayaraj or Lavadge. Which kingdom was famous for philosopher king is Panchal? Around which year did the Vedic people expand further east? Around 500 BC. Which region were occupied during the eastward expansion? Khosla and Vida. Vida corresponds to which present day region? North Bihar. Khosla corresponds mainly to which region? Eastern Uttar Pradesh. Is this story of Rama mentioned in Vedic literature? No. Which metal was widely used in later Vedic people? Iron. Which archaeological culture are encountered in Uttar Pradesh? Orchard colored culture. Which culture is identified by is black and red ware? Copper hot black and red ware culture. Which civilization also came into contact with Vedic people? Later Harappan civilization. The presence many Munda words later Vedic text indicate contact with whom? Munda speaking tribes. In which phase iron become widely used in India? Later Vedic phase. Which metal played a major role in later Vedic expansion? Iron. Around which year was iron used in Gandhar region? Around 1000 BC. Which region is in India show early evidence of iron use? Punjab, Western Uttar Pradesh, Madhya Pradesh and Rajasthan. ठीक है. From about which year did iron weapon become common in West Uttar Pradesh? Around 800 BC. Which iron weapons are mentioned in the text? Arrowhead and spearhead. Which technology helped the Vedic people expand eastward? Iron weapon and horse-drawn chariots. What are the main military advantage of iron? Stronger weapon and defeating opponent. Which agriculture to forest clearing? Iron X. What was the iron called in ancient history? Black copper from heaven. ये बोलते थे black copper from heaven because oriented from meteoroids. Where was the pure iron first made according to text? Mesopotamia. In which region was iron later producing during 3rd millennium? Anatolia, modern Turkey बोलते हैं. 1200 BC iron was considered what? A precious metal in West. Iron को precious metal in West Asia. Was iron working common in Harappa civilization? No. Which Harappa site sometimes wrong associated with early iron? Lothal. Why are Lothal iron find not considered true in iron technology? They were copper object containing iron or not pure iron. Lothal iron find not. Which Indian state have evidence of pure iron in the copper stone age? राजस्थान एंड कर्नाटका. प्योर आयरन के जो एविडेंस मिले हैं वो कहाँ मिले? कॉपर स्टोन एज में राजस्थान एंड कर्नाटका. व्हाट वाज द मेजर इम्पैक्ट ऑफ आयरन ऑन लेटर वैदिक सोसाइटी? एग्रीकल्चर एक्सपेंशन एंड टेरिटोरियल ग्रोथ. Which factor mainly contribute to the second phase of Vedic expansion? Use of iron weapons. What was the chief occupation of later Vedic people? Agriculture. Which text describe plucking ritual in detail? Satpat Brahmana. What type of plough was mainly used in later Vedic period? Wooden plowshare. How many oxen were sometimes yoked to plough according to later Vedic? So 6, 8, 12, even 24. Why is the use of 24 oxen considered exaggerated? It is likely a symbolic or ritual aggregation. Which king of Vida is associated with ploughing? King Janak. Janak, father of Sita. Which deity personally was Haldar? Balaram. Why was the Balaram called Haldar? Because carried the fluff. ठीक है. Which religious figure is depicted fluffing with at Bodh Gaya? Gautam Buddha. In later time, fluffing became a occupation of which social group? Lower Varna. Which crop continue from early Vedic to later Vedic? Barley. ठीक है. Which two crop become the chief crop in later Vedic period? Rice and wheat. Rice is called viri. ये हमने रिपीट तो नहीं किया. एक सेकेंड. Just social inequality. Measures during the later Vedic period. एक सेकेंड शायद ये रिपीट हो गया. कितना है? 1 चलो कोई नहीं. कहाँ थे हम? शायद ये चैप्टर है ऐसे ना. विच आर्कियोलॉजिकल साइट आल्सो प्रोवाइड एविडेंस ऑफ राइस कल्टिवेशन? तो अतरंजी खेड़ा. विच क्रॉप वाज मोर फ्रीक्वेंटली रिकमेंड इन वैदिक रिचुअल? राइस. विच क्रॉप ओनली रेयरली रिकमेंड इन वैदिक रिचुअल? व्हीट. बिसाइड सीरियल विच what else the later Vedic people cultivate? Various kind of lentil. Become famous wheat as staple food? Punjab and Western Uttar Pradesh. What major economic development took place in later Vedic period? Growth of art and crafts. Which craftsmen are specifically mentioned? Smiths and smelters. Smith and smelters. With which work? Iron working. Which metal was commonly used by Vedic people? Copper. Which famous copper mine region supplied Vedic people? Khetri. Copper objects found in painted graveyard site were mainly used for war and hunting ornament. Which craft was mainly confined to women? Weaving. Which craft made significant progress in later Vedic period? Leather, pottery and carpentry. How many major type of pottery were known for later Vedic? 4. ये रह गया नेम फॉर. ये कल हमने पढ़ा था नेम ऑफ 4. PGDW, रेड वेयर, ब्लैक एंड रेड वेयर. ठीक है. Later Vedic pentagram were mainly used for bowl and dish in ritual eating. Glass and bangalow, rice of upper class and prestige object. Which specimens craftsmen are mentioned later Vedic? Jewelers. Janpad is not mentioned in V4 Veda. In which text does Janpad first appear? Later Vedic text Brahmanas. Janpad around 800 appear, no earlier than this period. Which enable the later Vedic people to lead settled life, agriculture and various life. Later Vedic settlement, painted graveyard. Western Uttar Pradesh and Delhi. Punjab, Haryana and Rajasthan. Painted graveyard site. How many painted graveyard sites have been discovered? About 700. Astinapur, Atranji Kheda, no. Most PGW sites are located in which river basin? Upper Gangetic basin. PGW site about 1 to 3 meter. 1 to 3 meter settlement last under 300. Painted graveyard settlement continuation of Harappa town? No, they were mostly new settlement. What type of houses did the later Vedic people live in? Mud bricks, wattle or doab house में रहते हैं. ठीक है. Which archaeological culture is associated with settled later Vedic farm? Painted graveyard culture. Which agriculture implement mainly used? Wooden ploughs here. Why did town develop slowly in later Vedic people? Agriculture surplus was limited. Which word is used in later Vedic text for town? Nagar, Nagar, Nagar. Two places show the earliest beginning of town, Hastinapur and Kosambi. Those early town belonging to which phase? Proto-urban phase. What encouraged the growth of commerce in later Vedic period? Rise of new art and craft. Which source of livelihood become most important in later Vedic period? Agriculture. What happened to pastoral and semi-nomadic life? It declined and became secondary. What enabled peasant to support chief, priest and priest? Agriculture surpluses. What happened to tribal assembly in the later Vedic period? They lost importance. Two popular tribal assembly continue to exist, Sabha and Smiti. Disappear, Vidhata is disappear completely. Who dominated the Sabha in later Vedic period? Chief, rich noble, warriors and Brahmanas, who were no longer allowed to sit in the ordinary people. Sabha. What was the major political change in later Vedic period? Formation of larger kingdom. What replaced tribal authority? Territorial kingdom. Area were named after what tribes? What was the first stage territorial identity? Janpad. Which term later come to mean a territorial kingdom? Rashtra. What happened to royal power in later Vedic period? It increased significantly. Who benefit most from agriculture surplus? Chief, princes, priest. What type of political system emerged in later Vedic period? Territorial monarchy. Which process marked the transition from tribe to state? From Janpad to Rashtra. Which two tribes combined to form Kuru tribe? Bharatas and Kurus. Where did the Kurus first settle? Saraswati and Drishtabati. What was the capital of the Kurus kingdom? Hastinapur. Which region was known for Kurukshetra? Land occupied by Kuru. Which tribe later united with Kurus? Panchal. Around which year is the Mahabharata was traditionally placed? 950 BC. Which archaeological culture is associated with later Vedic people? Painted graveyard. Towards the end of later Vedic period, Vedic people expand to which kingdom? Kosala and Vida. Which metal transformed the later Vedic economy? Iron. What was iron called in later Vedic text? Shyam Ayas and Krishna Ayas. Around which period iron became common in western UP? Around 800 BC. Which weapon made Vedic expansion easier? Iron weapons, horse-drawn chariots. Which region first used iron in Indian subcontinent? Around 100 BC. Gandhar. What became the chief occupation in the later Vedic period? Agriculture. Which crop remained important from early Vedic period? Barley. Which two types of chief crop? Later rice and wheat. Rice is Viri. Brahmanas text describe ploughing ritual? Satpatvama. Which king is associated with ploughing in Vedic tradition? Janaka of Vida. Balram famous for Haldar. Hallmark later Vedic painted graveyard. 4 ये है painted black sleeve, painted graveyard, red wear. Weaving. Craft was mainly. Settlement first appear in later Vedic Janpad. 700. Name 2 important. Hastinapur, Atranji Kheda. Proto-urban, Hastinapur Kosambi. Later Vedic people, Sabha Smiti. Vidhata disappear हुआ. What does the term of Rajya mean? Sovereignty, power, kingdom. What was the voluntary gift given to king? Bali. Vedic people में common which sacrifice symbolizes supreme royal authority? Rajsu. Which sacrifice symbol treasures? Asomid. Was 5. Who collected, managed and royal tributes? Sangrita. Did later Vedic king maintain permanent standing army? No. Which institution held local administration and justice? Village assembly. Which social group are dominated? Sabha, warrior and Brahmanas. What major political later Vedic period? Transition from tribal chieftain to territorial kingdom. Which system was introduced by Vedic Aryan? Varna system. How many Varna was later Vedic period? 4 Varna. Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya and Shudra. Okay. Which Varna gained maximum power later Vedic? Brahmanas. Brahmanas become powerful due to growing importance of sacrifice. ब्राह्मणाज एंड स्त्रियां विश टू ब्राह्मणाज एंड स्त्रियां विच वर्ण रिप्रेजेंट द वॉरियर क्लास क्षत्रिय विच वर्ण फॉर्म द कॉमन पीपल वैश्य what were the main occupation of the Vaishya agriculture cattle craft trade Vaishya who which were two varna lived in tribute class of Vaishya Brahmana Striya main duty performing ritual Brahmana किया specify which ceremony marked the beginning of Vedic उपनयन three उपनयन ब्राह्मणा स्त्रियां वैश्य पहनते थे डिनाइड किसको किया उपनयन से शूद्रा को विद वैदिक मंत्र ऐसे वैदिक उपनयन सेरेमनी गायत्री मंत्र डिसाइड बाय गायत्री डिप्राइड किसको रखा गया शूद्रा को विद सोशल क्लास ग्रेजुअली बिगेन एंगेजिंग इन वैश्य मेजर सोशल फीचर एंगेज इन ड्यूरिंग लेटर वैदिक देयर इज फोर फोल्ड वर्ण सिस्टम इंक्रीज सोशल इनइक्वालिटीज ठीक है तो थैंक यू फॉर वाचिंग दिस वीडियो और हम नेक्स्ट वीडियो लेके आएंगे जल्दी कल या परसों थैंक यू और लाइक एंड शेयर सब्सक्राइब